the big news, of course, I mean, NFL season is upon us. Training camps have opened, and actually they can now start hitting one another. So that's exciting. And the big story, of course, is the Dallas Cowboys. Their lead guy, arguably their best player, certainly their best offensive player, Ezekiel Elliot, as his teammates are grinding and getting ready for the season, he's headed to Cabo.
Nice.
He's
got
headed
nice
to
sand,
Cabo.
clean water, and good drinks.
Get out there, and that's what he's going to be doing. He's holding out because he wants a new contract. Now, he's got 2 years left on his deal. Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott, of course, are playing in their last year, and Dak definitely wants to get his contract done, but he's there. It looks like he'll play whether he gets it done or not. Amari Cooper is not even thinking about an extension. He's making $13 million plus this year. He's fine playing that out. So, look, Rob, I get what Ezekiel Elliott's doing, and I always want the players to get paid, especially in football, where I think they have the worst union and hence the worst collective bargaining agreement.
They do.
Among the three major sports.
No ifs, ands, or buts. It's
right.
So bad, and this is why, especially, and it is different, Chris, depending on what position you play in that league, whether or not. And the running back position, as you know, the team gets to have control over you during your best years, your most productive.
Yeah,
and then
it's terrible.
When you're starting to decline, as most guys do, then you become available, and then they say, well, you're not averaging 5 yards a carry anymore. We can't pay you that.
Right.
Even though you kick butt for the first 4 or 5 years. So that I'm telling you, you know me, I'm behind these guys.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm with Zeke. And look, and I do understand what the analytics guys, I don't agree with the analytics guys a lot, but I do agree with them on the devaluing of the running back position. Like, we're going to get to this later. Melvin Gordon, I'm sorry. You better come back for what we're offering, or we'll be fine with Austin Eckler, and we'll be fine without you.
Melvin Gordon, hold out, my brother. Hold out.
Look, I don't have a problem with him getting paid, but he's not irreplaceable.
That's all right, but you got to stand up for yourself sometimes.
He can stand up for himself, but he may end up hurting himself because he doesn't, and that's where I'm differentiating him from Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott is the one running back, I believe. I mean, Le'Veon Bell is great, but James Conner filled in admirably.
They didn't make the playoffs without.
Because they had some injuries and stuff.
But
it wasn't because James Conner wasn't producing.
Whatever you want to say, Chris.
No,
they didn't make the playoffs.
They won? How many championships did they win with Le'Veon Bell?
I'm asking you.
How many championships did they win with Le'Veon Bell?
Well, but would they have made the playoffs with Le'Veon Bell if he played every day?
I don't.
Yes, they would have.
Numbers. I'm not going to say James Conner is as good as Le'Veon Bell.
All right,
but his
good
numbers were better. He produced
He's not Le'Veon Bell. He's not Le'Veon Bell.
But I can find, again, Ezekiel Elliott is unique. I can't find another Ezekiel Elliott. He is the best runner of the football in the NFL, and he's good in the other areas, blocking, catching as well. So he's the one guy I want. I'm like, he's worth the money. However, I got to look at it from both sides. I get what Zeke is doing. I hope it works, and I hope he gets paid. But if I'm the Dallas Cowboys and I'm looking at my cap and I have to pay Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott, and I got other players coming up as well, I'm looking at this, and I might have to take the same tack that I took with Emmitt Smith. What was it, 93?
Yeah, well, what happened was they went 0-2, and God forbid they go 0-2 or 0-3 to start the season.
Well,
and here's my issue, Chris.
I would let it go because, look, they got a new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. Everybody's talking about he's going to let Dak throw the deep ball. He's opening up the offense. There's more motion before the snap. All this, it's just going to be a whole new exotic Cowboys offense under Kellen Moore. I would like to see, if I'm the Cowboys and I got money issues, I want to see what we look in the first 2 games without Zeke. They're not tough. They got the Giants and they got the Redskins. I know they're division games, they're rivalries, but those are 2 games that you might be able to win without. You got Miami in week 3. So the first 3 weeks aren't treacherous.
And if you lose any of those against those teams that you think you should beat, then it's a panic. That's why you can't.
I don't think
to me,
it's a panic.
It's the other way around,
you
Chris.
rebound from 0-2.
It's the other way around. You want to make sure you beat those teams, and you don't even give those teams a shot at beating you because you're not at full strength. And here's the other part where me and you part ways. If I'm the Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones, dude, the clock is ticking. You have not won. You haven't been to an NFC title game since 1995. You got a good team in place, and you're playing what? You're playing with the best running back in the league? You're going to set yourself up to have this thing blow up in your face at your age, with you trying to win? I know he's already in the Hall of Fame, but they haven't won jack since Jimmy Johnson left. All I'm telling you is if you're the Cowboys, don't mess with what you have. You got a young quarterback, you got a young running back, and you got a star receiver that you made with a good trade. You are in position to make that run. Stop with the nickel and dime. Pay the people who produce it. Well, they don't want to pay them.
I mean, no, well, look, if they can use bonuses, incentives, and all this other stuff to pay all three of those guys. I'm talking about Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, and Ezekiel Elliott.
I don't want no bonuses.
I'm with you. Do it.
I want my money.
I'm with you.
I don't care. Cut other guys.
Can they do that? There's a salary cap, Rob.
That's fraudulent. That's a made-up number. That's a made-up number.
Well, is it? That's what I'm saying. If they can get under it, I don't want them to nickel and dime them just because they want to be cheap. But if that cap is real, and Dak Prescott is like, I'm not giving up a dime, then I don't know if I can pay all the guys. I mean, seriously, that's what I'm saying. Without somebody giving me a deal.
Well, then they got to make a choice then. They got to pick two of the three. Somebody got to go then if you can't pay. That's what happens. Well, ask the Patriots, ask all these other teams. They have to give up some of these good players because they can't pay them all. That's football.
That's where, and I know the running, look, again, Ezekiel Elliott, best running back in the league. But I might be willing to say, let me just see. We got the best offensive line in football. Let me see what happens the first few weeks of the season. You can rebound for 0-2. You acting like that would throw away the season. What happened when they went 0-2 without Emmitt Smith?
No, they won the Super Bowl that year. But they came running back to Emmitt when they were 0-2.
Right, and I would go running back to Zeke if I had to. From their perspective, it's not like there's no cap and they can just throw money around all they want.
But the only difference is with that team was that they had already won, okay? And this team hadn't been to the NFC title game since 95. So I get what you're saying, which is a wait and see. But what if you disrupt this team by doing this, or Ezekiel Elliott comes back and isn't the guy, you know what I mean, because he wasn't getting the reps, and he's rusty, and it takes him another 2 weeks before he's back in the game shape, and now you're 1-3. That's all I'm saying. Why would you wreck a season? The Giants already lost 3 wide receivers. They got an old quarterback. The Eagles are coming back.
Should they not be able to beat the Giants without Ezekiel Elliott?
I don't know. I'm saying
yes, they should be able to. Right.
That's what I'm saying.
And then I might only go one game. If we beat the Giants, but our running game is horrible, and it's a close game or whatever, then I might just say, you know what, let's get Zeke back now. If I win both games and we can't run the football, knowing that these two teams, Washington and New York, aren't very good, then I might say, you know what, we got to get Zeke back. We got a real chance to win this thing.
And if you go 0-2, Zeke says the price just went up. I need more. You need me, right? You coming back to get me?
Yeah, that's the risk.
All right?
That's the risk you have to
right?
take.
That's another risk where he says, the contract we talked about before the season, no, I don't want that. I want more. I want $10 million more.
Because here's the thing, right? And I'm with you in philosophy and theory. You know, philosophically, I want the players to get paid. I think the running backs are getting screwed. I hope they get a new deal in the next bargaining agreement where they're not locked up for the first 5 years of their career. But look at Todd Gurley. The Rams really messed this thing up. They didn't have to pay Gurley that contract when they did. Now they're talking about he might not practice. You know, he won't play any of the preseason games, which isn't that big, but he's not going to practice a lot. Like, They're treating him like he's damaged goods.
But the only problem I have with the girlie is that's easy to do after the fact. When he rushed over,
They were early on the contract. I'm saying,
I know.
he was so early in his deal. What was it, after his third year?
But I'm
they
saying,
didn't have to do it.
When he ran over the Cowboys in that playoff game, ain't nobody was talking about that they didn't want to pay Todd Gurley. Is what I'm saying. In that,
nah, but they just didn't have to. That's my thought. Like, and I give the running backs credit. They looking at that. They're looking at Le'Veon Bell. You know, Bell didn't get as much as he thought he would, but he did get his guaranteed money.
And he got his guaranteed money, and he's fresh for another. You know what I mean? Without his body being broken up after last year by not playing.
Right. So, all right. Your turn to weigh in as always.
You came in feisty, huh? You know, after a week off.
I'm full of energy, man.
I see.
877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Should the Cowboys break the bank to sign Ezekiel Elliott before the start of the season? Your turn to weigh in. We'll continue the conversation with you next.
All right, Sean in Sacramento, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Sean?
Man, I must have been saying all year, just like Chris, man, we got the Odd Couple back together, man, in full force, man. I'm loving it.
Back in full effect.
It's good to be back.
No doubt.
Speaking of which, did y'all do the all yeah without me?
Oh, yeah. Everybody.
Did you do it?
Jonas dang near held it on for a whole minute, man. He was over there trying to lose all of his breath doing the whole year.
Oh, yeah. I got to step my game up, huh?
He did it for a minute, and his girlfriend texted in and said, yeah, that was longer than that. Never mind. Sorry about that.
She said, that's par for the course,
yeah,
right?
there you go.
hey, would it be Magic City Monday if Rob didn't drop one that's a little off kilter?
Just a little bit. Sean, you know, what you want from me? All right, go ahead. What you got?
So my take is, man, hey, Chris must have been in that East Coast heat wave because he came back spitting fire, man. There's no reason for Dallas to spend that money right now on the running back, man. He has 2 years until his contract's up. You don't win in this league unless you pay your quarterback. And on top of that, we all know that Dallas is a product of that offensive line. So as long as they keep that offensive line intact, Zeke is kicking in Cabo San Lucas for another 2 years next to your beach house out there after the Patriots lost Big Rob. They don't need that.
Nah, but Sean, here's where you're wrong. Look at their record without Ezekiel Elliott, and when you just have the offensive line and Dak, and it ain't the same team. Those are just facts. Am I right, Chris?
It hasn't been. They're 4-4 without him. They're like 28-12 with him. But wasn't Tyrone Smith? Wasn't he hurt? I think he was hurt for a little bit of that.
Yeah, he was hurt for like 6 games last season.
Yeah.
And then also the NFC West is probably
Dak is not the same when he doesn't have a running back. I'm telling you, they know it.
I'd be willing to test it. That's all I'm saying. I'm with you, Rob, but I'd be willing to test it, especially when we think we got this hot new offense. You know,
all right.
With,
hey,
Moore.
can we get Jerry Jones on line one? You got time to wait, Jerry? Can you hang on? Can you hang on for 8 more years, Jerry, to win a Super Bowl? I'm just saying. How about EW in D.C.? You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up?
Hey, gentlemen, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing great,
man. How are you?
Good. I got 2 points, and that is I kind of agree with you, Rod, as it relates to this being the time the stars are aligning for us, and this is probably our year right here. But on the second thought, Ezekiel has kind of made it hard with his off-the-field antics. And, you know, I mean, you're making an investment in that kind of behavior.
Hey, hey, EW, I'm going to let you finish.
Okay.
Jerry Jones has done nothing but sign felons, people beat up women. I'm being serious.
Greg Hardy.
Hardy.
When they won their last glory run, they had all types of problems.
They had all types of problems. Michael Irvin. So all I'm saying, EW, you can't use that as an excuse because Jerry Jones has welcomed all those guys into his organization. That's all I'm going to say.
Now, you think they all will have gotten the kind of money that Zeke is going to be demanding?
Those guys got paid. Some of them. I'm just saying you can't use that now as a you're not a choir boy because that's not what he's about. That's all I'm saying.
I'll give you that. All right, here's the other one. Let me just drop the bomb on you guys. This could be the next Hershey Walker deal as well. I mean, if things don't work out, I mean, we got a guy named Tony Pollard coming out of college making a lot of noise. I don't know if he's going to pan out. But if, in fact, we decide to put him on the block, put Ezekiel on the trading block, that would bring the Cowboys some draft picks and some good players for the next, say, 3 to 5 years.
I actually like Mike Weber, too, from Ohio State. Again, I'm not saying there's Zeke. I'm just saying, Rob, I'd be willing to test it. That's all the brother's saying.
Yeah, all I'm saying is I'm not. I wouldn't do it. Let's go to Neiman in Montana. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Neiman?
What's up, guys? How you been?
Great. How about
man.
you?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad I can start calling in again. I don't know anything about basketball, so.
All right.
Well, Rob
anyway,
doesn't either, but that
Oh,
doesn't
wow.
stop him from that.
That's coming from the guy who picked, I don't know anything, but I picked the Raptors in 6. You remember that? And Chris
Yeah,
lost wings to me.
Remember
I'm
that.
the one who
I
said
also
that
remember that.
Kawhi, I'm the one who
Nets
said
were gonna
Kawhi.
win the East or
I was
something
also
like
the
that.
one who said Kawhi wasn't going to the Lakers. Was I the one who was in
I
that
knew
too?
that was coming.
You knew it.
I knew that was coming.
That's my ace in the hole for the rest of the year. All right, go ahead, Neiman.
So I totally agree with you guys that they should pay the players, especially the running backs. They're putting their bodies on the line. Every play could be the potential of a car accident. But I guess where I got to think about it is from Jerry Jones' standpoint. It is a quarterback league. So if you got a quarterback that you trust and you have faith in, who are you going to invest your money in? The future behind the center or the future behind the quarterback? So I think that I would pass on Zeke and invest my time in a quarterback that I believe in, especially in this league nowadays, rather than throwing out the money for Zeke.
Yeah, you kind of have to go with the QB over the running back. And Zeke is a better running back than Dak is a quarterback. Like, Dak's nowhere near the best quarterback in the league. We said Zeke is the best running back. But
when that poll came out, he was third tier. This is a guy who's won games and won two of the three last NFCs, right?
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate situation that Zeke finds himself in, I think. And I get what he's doing, but, if I'm on the other side, I think I'm playing some hardball. All right, and we're going to bring in one of the busiest guys in the NFL. He's currently at the Denver Broncos training camp. He's already been to the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Cowboys training camp. He is Yahoo Sports senior NFL reporter and the host of the Yahoo Sports NFL podcast, Mr. Charles Robinson. Charles, what's happening, man? Welcome to the Odd Couple.
What's going on, fellas?
Hey, Charles. Hey, Chris, I got up for disclosure. I've known Charles for a gazillion years when he was first starting out back in Detroit working at the Oakland Press.
You're not as old as Rob Parker.
No, he's not. He was young. He was a young guy, and now he's a big star.
Yeah.
Charles, right? That was back in the 90s.
Yeah. Rob and I spilled some of the same blood and some of the same mud in Detroit.
You know it.
Uh-oh.
You know it.
So you got some stories.
Yeah,
I have to call you offline and get some ammunition.
Do that. All right, Charles. Let's start with, of course, you said, we wanted to talk about the Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
Let's do that first. Yeah, and just about the holdout by Ezekiel Elliot. And do you think that the Cowboys, given what they have on the line and a chance to really maybe get to the Super Bowl or whatever, would play around with this and let them sit out the start of the season, or is this something they need to get settled?
It's not critical right now, and the reason why is because they did a couple of offensive installs in the offseason, through OTAs and through full squad minicamps, and Zeke was there for both of those. So just from the standpoint of, the first couple of weeks of training camp, it's practicing those installs, just getting the plays down, getting the verbiage down, all that stuff. Well, Zeke's a vet. He's a smart guy. He picks up things really fast, and he was already kind of through this system as they start to change under the new OC there, Kellen Moore, this offseason. So I don't think, they're not hitting the panic button yet, but, they're playing hardball with them. There's no doubt about it. They have sat there and they've looked at their cap situation. They've looked at the imbalance they're going to have between offense and defense. Once they do extensions with Zeke, Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, they're probably going to lose Lyle Collins off the line. They're probably going to lose Byron Jones, who's a cornerback who's going to make a ton of money in free agency. And so, I think they're trying to get a win at the negotiating table with all three of those guys, frankly. I think they would like somewhat team-friendly deals. I just don't know if they're there to be had. And I'd be stunned if Zeke's camp at this point, having gone through all this and built this up over the last month of preparation, comes in for anything less than the Todd Gurley deal. And if they do, it's a massive, really L on their part, because they planned on winning this. They've been putting this in motion for a month, And anything less than getting an extension that they want is a loss.
Charles, I don't know the NFL salary cap and structure like I know the NBA's, but can they pay? Dak is talking like he's not taking any type of team-friendly deal.
Right.
Amari doesn't seem to be a problem. He's fine with his contract playing out the last year. But can they pay if Dak doesn't take a discount and Zeke wants Todd Gurley or better money? Can they pay all three of these guys? Like, can they really do it, or is it something has to give?
They can. I mean, they definitely can, but it's just like, what do you want to sacrifice down the line? And I think the guy that they're really worried about is linebacker Jalen Smith. I mean, I think they've identified, and it's funny because, I think there are some people out there who are they're identifying the wrong defensive guy. Like, you talk to their pro personnel guys, and they're like, I don't know, man, I would rather have, what I feel like is a top-tier corner nowadays than an elite-level linebacker. But, Jalen Smith is a special player. He's gotten to the point where I think he's pretty much 100% back from the injury that he suffered at Notre Dame. And, I think they feel like he gives the linebacking core enough flexibility to do some different things. He could be a pass rusher in certain packages, things like that. So their biggest priority is just like, look, let's get the deals right for these three offensive guys and retain the ability to sign Jalen Smith. I think what's hanging this up for Zeke's camp in particular is that I think they believe deep down that the plan for Zeke has always been maybe a 6-year plan, ride him out through his 4 years, get him the 5th-year option on his rookie deal, franchise tag him 1 year, and then let him walk, like basically use up his best years and then not commit to him beyond that. And I think that's why you're seeing this holdout now in year 3, after year 3, because they think if he's going to get money from the Cowboys, this is the time to get it right now, this offseason. Otherwise, we're going to play into their hands, and they're just going to run out the clock on him.
And you know what? This is the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. Our guest, of course, Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. He's a senior NFL reporter and host of the Yahoo Sports NFL podcast. And, Charles, I think Zeke is going to win this because the clock keeps ticking on Jerry Jones. He desperately, I know he's already in the Hall of Fame, but he wants to win again. Hasn't won since Jimmy Johnson took his ball and went home. I know they won the next year, but haven't done anything. Haven't been to the NFC Championship game since 1995. And at some point, you can't play around. Windows come open and close in the NFL. I just can't see how they won't pay this guy, especially when you look at the record and the team when Ezekiel plays and when he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, look, the desperation in terms of Jerry Jones at this point, I mean, it's peak desperation. And if you've been around Jerry the last 3, 4, 5 years, the age is, you're seeing it. It's starting. They're starting to see some of the age with Jerry, and you're starting to see even in operations. When this thing started, I was talking to my people at the Cowboys, and they're like, yeah, Stephen Jones, his son, spearheading this. Stephen's been doing most of the deals. He's really running point on a lot of things. I said, where's Jerry? And they're like, yo, he's on his super yacht in the Mediterranean right now. So I think Jerry is taking a back seat up until this point. I know he came out and he did a television interview with a Dallas area station and said, hey, you don't need a rushing champ, to win a Super Bowl. That's some tough talk, and I think he's backing up Steven to a point, but I also think Jerry's no fool, and he knows this is the last year of Jason Garrett's contract. We've pushed all our chips on this year to try and get this done while we can. Yeah, so I think at some point, Jerry, if this lingers on and we get into 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and pretty soon we're halfway through the preseason, I think you could see some motivation by Jerry to go, you know what, let's figure this out. Let's pay him and get him in here.
So you don't see them. I've said maybe they try to do what they did with Emmitt Smith. I know it was a long time ago, but see
that
how
was the last time they were good.
You got a new offensive coordinator. I've read all these rave reviews about the pre-snap motion, and they're gonna let Dak throw deep and all that stuff. Is there any chance you think they would say, look, our first 2 games are the Giants, the Redskins, we got Miami after that. Let's start the season without Zeke, see how it looks. And then, if we have to go back to him, we will. But, maybe he'll have to come back to us if we look good without him.
Well, first off, let's not forget that holdout or that whole deal ended after Charles Haley put a helmet through the wall and said after 2 games and said, "What are we doing?
Right.
Get this done." So I think the complication there for Dallas waiting is that so much of this offense is geared through, as you said, you've seen the numbers. I mean, it really is an offense streamlined through Zeke. Now, do you have the time to try to go flexible and say, all right, we're going to actually tilt more of this onto Dak and try to make this more of a passing offense that it has been, or an RPO offense than it has been, and, try to weather this through the first couple of games? You could do that, but I just don't see them saying, hey, let's retool who we are so that we can play this game of chicken in the regular season. I think really when push comes to shove, Jerry's going to sit there and go, look, out of these 3, Dak, Amari, and Zeke, which guy has the argument to be sort of a market setter, to be the guy that, we want to pay? And I think Jerry can sit there and go, let's pay him, but let's structure it in a way that if we have to get out of this, maybe we can get out after 2 years, and it'll be a little painful, but let's just pay him and structure it in a way that gives us some flexibility in 2022.